What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today when I talk to you about SoFi, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 1.73%, largely piggybacking off the broader market. 2086 the low, 2160 the high. So despite everything, SoFi did have a pretty solid run up, almost a new 52-week high, which is currently sitting at 2186. But regrettably, the fear in the broader market kind of took hold. Aside from that, you also did have very low volume, not just with SoFi, but the broader market. So 61 million shares being traded, 74 is the average. And the reason why that did occur is because big money wasn't really buying into the news that came out, or more specifically, I guess, the data. So CPI month over month came in at 0.3, forecast of 0.3, so that was okay. And a lot of the things that people were really watching for, so shelter did go up, food went up, so again, wasn't necessarily the best, but year over year came in at 2.7, forecast of 2.6. Why this CPI was so important, so many people are paying attention to it, is it was from June. So ultimately, fully encumbering Trump's tariffs. So with it kind of going up, people are now automatically assuming that the next couple of reports are going to be of similar nature, that inflation, shelter, and everything is going to be going up, and Armageddon and blah, blah, blah. I think in general, SoFi and just the broader market, as I've explained, is very overbought. So typically you get these extreme moves and overreactions in some cases. So yes, this is a little bit more of a cause for concern, potentially alluding to higher for longer, but at the end of the day, is this a reason to sell and to mass panic? In my opinion, not so much. Some of you may or may not agree with me on that, but I think in general, it prompted a nice consolidated pullback across the board, which is long overdue. Specific to SoFi though, there wasn't any news, no SEC filing, so it was just merely piggybacking off the broader market. One thing did come out though that was posted after hours yesterday, that I guess was right after my video, and it was another rating. So we did have a relatively somewhat bearish rating, so we had a downgrade by JMP, but there was a new one, initiated coverage, so brand new, $19 price target, Goldman Sachs, who has a 44% success rating, which isn't all that great, but nonetheless, 19 is okay. As a consensus, 1658 over the last 3 months, representing a 20.9% downside. And in reality, a lot of growth stocks have this type of setup right here, where based on the analysts, they do anticipate more downside, and I think that's just Wall Street just fails to see the full big picture of innovative companies such as SoFi. So I think there was even a comment in my last video that SoFi, this recent run up, is giving more like Palantir type of vibes. So again, that kind of meets that criteria. Aside from that though, shorts, they didn't really do anything at all today. You can see from this teal line right there, they just didn't do anything. So they let the institutions sell, they kind of just sat back and chilled, but 14.39% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 156 million shares. Shorts did return roughly around 87,000. So they didn't really do all that much as far as that today. When it comes to options, you had 38 million in calls, 13 million in puts, 44% of all the options being done were bearish in nature. And you can clearly see just between, looks like 1040, 1045, there was 1.8 million, 1.2 between the 1045 and 1050, and 1050 to 1055, 2.9 million. So a lot of institutions clearly with a lot of bearish options going on there. From this though, from the bulls, you see consensus for it to be still between that 22 to 2250 by the end of this week. So still a nice recovery is anticipated. Based on the bulls, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly sub 20. For the most part, and given where we did close, it is a little bit more upside still anticipated, so that's good to see. Based on the secondary market, you did see a lot of selling, and I think a lot of that had to do with just the data that did come out. So yesterday you had that quick sell-off immediately, and that was because of that somewhat negative downgrade rating. And then today a lot of institutions were clearly selling based on the CPI. So what do you think about CPI? Do you think that was more of a cause for concern concerned? Do you think it's just more of a one-off? What's your general kind of thoughts on all that? But again, can't really lie with the data. Institutions weren't really buying the dip in reality, which is rather unfortunate. But again, like I said, SoFi has ran up a considerable amount, as well as many other stocks. So SoFi is still up 44.7%, which, to be fully fair, didn't really have that many consolidation days. So I think today was kind of overdue for that. Aside from that though, with it closing at 2096, still between this R3 and this R2. So going into the next couple of trading days, 2034 is going to be a strong support. So just watch for that. 2257 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So still doing fairly well in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks. Aside from all that though, moving over here, there wasn't any other new analyst ratings, no articles really coming out associated to SoFi. So now I think people are just waiting for SoFi's upcoming earnings just to see if all of this hype is justified or not. Aside from all of that though, on the actual chart, still considered overbought, so that could potentially impact it going into the next couple of trading days with a lot of big data. One thing as well I do want to bring up is it didn't really happen with JPM, but Wells Fargo did also have their earnings early this morning during the pre-market, and they gave a lot of potential red flags. I think JPM's was a little bit more optimistic, but Wells Fargo did signal kind of some red flags coming from the consumer side of it. So again, that's one thing that could have potentially impacted SoFi as well, because you had a lot of swings up and down, so a lot of different attributing factors. But on the actual chart itself, it did close below that ALMA, so a little bit more of a consolidation is anticipated. So just watch for a lot of those support points, as I mentioned, from the fib levels if you're looking at dollar cost averaging. But given just everything that has been coming out, the data points in the next couple of trading days, I feel like it would be a good potential to start selling some covered calls. Again, I've been giving you guys some updates, so that's something I might be doing. I didn't have an opportunity to do that today, but tomorrow, if it kind of stays within this set range, I might be doing some weekly covered calls. But I think still there is a little bit more room for SoFi to kind of move up leading into their earnings. But you guys do whatever floats your boat. What do I know in life? So just do your own due diligence and all the other fun jazz. But a lot of the data points I did signal are kind of pointing to some consolidation, more further consolidation. Nothing significant, but still something to keep in mind. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. What do you think about some of the recent analyst ratings? What's your viewpoint potentially on CPI? I know some people might have strong views about this because some people are very pro tariffs, pro Trump, and some people clearly are not. What's your kind of viewpoint on this? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then pop over to my Discord. It is completely free. A lot of big SoFi fans in there. Love talking about stocks, options, crypto. So pop over there, take a look. And yeah, with all that said, hopefully everyone has a good rest of the day, and appreciate all you watching.